Hello my friends and welcome to Alien Protocols. I'm not sure how to shoot this video. It's a weird video today. It's just a lot of weird information and it's going to be a little bit cumbersome to kind of give it to you. So I'm going to try and figure out the best way to give you this info. This is future information based on remote viewings, and I think it has a lot of merits too, just in terms of logic. So I think the remote viewing has very little evidentiary value, but you see what value it has to you. So this is the electromagnetic spectrum. This was discovered 200 years ago. There was a bunch of different phenomena. We didn't know what it was, but this guy and a series of scientists put the pieces together and realized we were living in a field, the electromagnetic field. In fact, we were even giving off the electromagnetic spectrum, and this is the electromagnetic spectrum. So it was an amazing discovery, and it unified a bunch of different little mysteries. And right now there is another substructure, and there's a bunch of little mysteries that seem not connected, but to those of us who are aware of them and how these things work, it's obvious what's going on here. There is another substructure, another field, and this field allows us information and other things to contact and connect and physically manipulate reality non-locally, which is pretty extraordinary. Anyway, so in this project called Psychic, we were able to do remote viewings of the future and different information, and this is kind of part of the transparency aspect of that program, and to share with you some of the data. So recently there was this thing called LIGO, and LIGO is the gravitational wave detector, and there's several of these around the world, and they positively detected gravitational waves, which means, they're not saying it, but it means we've discovered the graviton, essentially. And this is a whole new spectrum. The gravimetric spectrum is going to be absolutely amazing. Right now, we've only discovered this end of the gravimetric spectrum, the radio end, where the waves are huge. They have very little influence. The waves are gigantic. They're bigger than the buildings, just like the electromagnetic spectrum. This gravimetric spectrum is something kind of like this. Very similar in terms of setup, in terms of structure and power levels. So the gravimetric spectrum would start at the bottom with radio, basically radiogravitics, which would be things like astronomy and telescopes and things like that, would give us a peek into the future with these giant, very large gravimetric waves. But then they can get more focused, and in the future this whole spectrum is going to become more and more clear, and its uses and abilities are going to be staggering. Just like the electromagnetic spectrum just massively transformed humanity, the gravimetric spectrum is going to do the same thing, and our control and mastery of it will as well. So you've got the microwave level, and this is around the microgravitic wave level, and this is around the size of humans. That's around the size of the wave, and there's going to be all sorts of different things available in this for society, like a lot of medical insights in terms of the infragravitic red, which is just this side of basically dangerous in terms of infragravitic wave level. Now these are just faster, more energetic gravitic waves, and they will have medical purposes where they can scan a body but not be physically damaging. So these waves are going to have a higher frequency and energy level, and they could be used for medical and a whole bunch of different things. They can also be used for surveillance, for a new type of detection system to detect things that are using all sorts of different types of camouflage. This would detect them. Now then we're going to move into an area that's going to start getting biohazards, where the gravimetrics is getting strong enough where it's going to start affecting physical bodies. Past that, there's going to be a visible level where the gravimetric spectrum, if your waves are powerful enough, there's enough energy in them, if the frequency is small enough, it will actually be visible. There will be a visible distortion that you would be able to see. Then you're going to move into the ultra gravitic waves, and those are very much like ultraviolet. is in the electromagnetic spectrum. And those are going to get very powerful. That's going to be, dangerous. It's going to have a lot of different effects and things it can do. Everything from tractor beams, a literal tractor beam could work because of this. And then you'd move into things like X-rays, but these would be the X-gravitic waves. And these would be very powerful. These could be used for propulsion systems. You could have two of the, I'm forgetting the amplifiers, two gravitic amplifiers pointing at one location and using X wave level gravitic waves, you would have a very strong propulsion system. And beyond that, of course, you'd have the very dangerous level of the gamma gravitic waves, which are very highly energetic, a lot of power and a lot of energy in those. And those, you could use two of those to create miniature black holes. You could create all sorts of different power levels because of that. You could really mess with reality. It has tremendous scientific properties and abilities. And of course, gravitic waves, just like the electromagnetic spectrum, could be stacked like lasers. And you can imagine that that could have very profound implications. So the future is going to have a lot of different things just based on this spectrum alone. There's some more things on astronomy. I'll do that in another video, but I wanted to hear your guys' thoughts about this gravitic spectrum. What do you guys think? The age of gravimetrics is here. The graviton is here. Much love.